Hello and welcome to this Ferris State University Bulldog football preview. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Rob Bentley, alongside Sandy Gholston as Ferris State gets set to take on the Wayne State Warriors on Saturday night in Detroit. 6 p.m. start. And Sandy, always a great trip going down to Detroit, where a lot of these former Bulldog players are from. A lot of family, friends on the southeast side of the state.
Yeah, it's really an exciting time for so many of our Bulldogs, as you mentioned, that are current Bulldogs that are from the Detroit area or Detroit proper. And it's really an exciting time. And, you know, they're looking forward to it. For our seniors in particular from Detroit, it's going to be a really exciting time for them. But it's also a great time for the alumni base of Ferris State down in Detroit, in the metropolitan Detroit area. They're going to get a chance to come out and see the Bulldogs in person, closer to home. And so that always adds to the atmosphere when we go down to Detroit.
Of course, we all had a lot of Bulldog fans, alumni friends on hand this past weekend for homecoming, 55-13 win over Roosevelt University. And the Bulldogs, a little bit of a slow start, but really put it together and got a big conference win to open up the conference season.
Yeah, Coach Anise talked about it. A really good game plan by Roosevelt. And I think that combined with what the Bulldogs got off to against American International the week before. Maybe there were some expectations of what was going to happen, but you know, these are well-coached teams. They make adjustments, and we had to make some adjustments, and we finally did, and really got that thing rolling.
Of course, this Saturday night, Ferris State will be taking on a Wayne State team that's looking for its first victory of the year. Team that's been competitive, though, in some games under head coach Tyrone Wheatley, and will be a challenge here in week 2 of the conference schedule.
Yeah, you know, Coach Wheatley is working to rebuild that program, and he's adding some new faces, and they have some young pieces in place. And one thing about Wayne State is that they do play hard, they play aggressive, and they play smart. And so what you have to do is you have to take care of business. And even though the Bulldogs are going to come in as heavy favorites, they're still going to have to come in ready to play.
Of course, the Bulldogs have had some great games in Detroit over the years, really played well there in 2019. A couple years ago in the snow, pulled out a great victory towards the end of the regular season. So certainly some success in the Motor City against the Warriors.
Yeah, the Bulldogs in general have been a really good road team, and that's carried over, of course, to Detroit, where, again, the emotions are running a little bit higher because of all the Ferris State alumni that come back, as well as the current Bulldogs that are members of the team from Detroit. And so that adds to the excitement. But you're right, the Bulldogs have had some great performances down at Wayne State in Detroit, and so they're hoping to pull that off again. And if they play like they've been playing the last few weeks, then they certainly are going to put themselves in a good position to do that.
Of course, we only expect the games here in the conference to get tougher and tougher as we move forward here through the GLIAC schedule. You got Michigan Tech coming to town next week, then Grand Valley State. So some big games remaining. The Bulldogs have to take this one game at a time.
You have to take it one game at a time. And you're right, there's some big games coming up. But if you look too far down that schedule and you end up stumbling by somebody that puts the pieces together and maybe can trip you up. And so the Bulldogs do not want to let that happen. So they isolate the season one game at a time. The next opponent up is the Wayne State Warriors.
We'll have all the coverage for you, starting with the Johnson Automotive pregame show at 5 p.m. And, of course, the kickoff at 6 o'clock from Adams Field down in Detroit. Should be a fun trip to the Motor City, and looking forward to the Bulldogs being back in action here on the road Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, once you really get into these GLIAC games, there's the rivalries that you've had for decades, and it's really fun to renew some of these rivalries. And going down to Detroit again is just always special for me and for a lot of the Bulldogs from the area.
Tune in on Saturday night, Sunday 97.3, or online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com.